Hey guys, it's Gwyneth and welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about books. I know I don't really talk about books that much on my channel, but it's an old tag that I've seen done and it's kind of coming back. And it's just about what books you read this year, your thoughts on them, recommendations, and then what you plan to read next year. I'll just go ahead and dive right in. I didn't actually set a goal for how much to read this year, and I had kind of rediscovered that I liked reading, because I don't know, when you're in college or even high school and you're reading books because you have to for class, kind of makes you not like reading, but then it's like, oh, actually I do like reading, just reading things that I actually want to read. So, but I don't get any hate for this, but the book that really jump-started me reading again was because this came out. Oh, sorry, my ring light. It's a massive book, Midnight Sun, which is, I don't know if you necessarily say sequel, but it's written by Stephanie Meyers, who wrote Twilight, and all the Twilight books are written from the perspective of Bella, and this is the first book, but from the perspective of Edward. It's huge, it's massive, so much more detail. This was a good book. I highly recommend this if you are a Twilight fan. And then reading this made me want to dive back into reading Twilight, mainly because I was just surprised how much I dove back into the Twilight world and loved it. Because I originally read the books when I was in middle school and I loved it so much. Always Team Edward. Always was. Even before I found out the ending, I was always Team Edward. But anyways, I was like, well, I just liked it that much because I was 13. But I'm 22 now and I'm still loving and appreciating her work. That's 5 books then that I read. So I got this one, and then I read Twilight, New Moon, Eclipse, and Breaking Dawn. So we're at 5. I actually haven't counted how much I read. From there, I decided to grab some books that I've had on my shelf forever that I wanted to read and never did. So I started with The Fault in Our Stars. I have the cover thing somewhere, I don't know where it is. I take them off when I read it because I actually don't like the slippery feeling of covers. And sometimes I lose them if it takes me a while to finish a book. The Fault in Our Stars, I watched the movie, loved it, and of course the book is so much better. That's not a dig to the movie though, the movie is pretty good, but books are usually just always better than movies, in my opinion. I'm sure most people know Fault in Our Stars, but is there like a little... Maybe I can read you like the synopsis or whatever it's called of each book. This one doesn't have it, but it's kind of a sad book. It's about, I actually don't know, I think they have cancer. The main character has cancer. Apologize if I'm wrong on that, but she definitely has some like medical health issues. And it's just like, I'm not gonna give anything away, but it's very good. John Green is a really, really good writer. Oh, okay, and then next I read Confessions of a Shopaholic. For those who don't know, there is a movie based off of it, which I've seen the movie, hadn't read the book. I had the book on my shelf. Decided to read it. I think my mom gave me this book. But it's Becky Bloomwood has a fabulous flat in London's trendiest neighborhood, a trophy of glamorous socialite friends, and a closet brimming with the fashions must have. The only trouble is she can't actually afford it, not any of it. Her job writing at Successful Savings not only bores her to tears, it doesn't pay much at all, and lately Becky's been chased by dismissal letters from Visa, letters with large red sums that she can't bear to read, and they're getting ever harder to ignore. She tries cutting back, she even tries making more money, but none of her efforts succeed. Becky's only consolidation is to buy herself something, just a little something. Finally, a story arises that Becky actually cares about, and her front page article catalysts a chain of events that will transform her life and the lives of those around her forever. After that, like I mentioned, Fault in Our Stars is by John Green, and I actually got another one of his books, which was Looking for Alaska. I think I only got maybe a chapter or 2 into it, and then I stopped for school. And then I took a break from reading for a while until I like finished studying for stuff. And then I actually started reading the Harry Potter series because I'd seen the movies, but I never read it. And I actually started reading it because there were like parts of the movie I just didn't understand, or I was like, why can they do this and not do this? And Taylor would be like, oh, cause you know, in the 3rd movie they said blah blah blah, and I just like couldn't retain it all. And so I thought, you know what, let's just read it so I kind of understand what's going on better, and that's what I did. So I'm not through the whole series, but I did read the first 3. So that's the Sorcerer's Stone, Chamber of Secrets, and Prisoner of Azkaban. So I'm still gonna try to work through those, but I've also jumped like from reading a book of that series to reading other books. Being The Midnight Library, I actually heard about this, a recommendation from a different YouTuber, and I started reading this, but as you can see I only got like 50 pages in, and I'll read you the summary. Between life and death there is a library. Up until now, Nora Seed's life has been full of misery and regret. She feels she has let everyone down, including herself, but things are about to change. When she finds herself in the Midnight Library, she has a chance to make things right. The books in the Midnight Library enable Nora to live as if she had done things differently, each one containing a different life, a possible world in which she made different choices that played out in an infinite number of ways, affecting everyone she knew as well as many people she never met. With the help of an old friend, she can now undo every decision she regrets as she tries to work out her perfect life, but things aren't always what she imagined they'd be, and soon her choices place the library and herself in extreme danger. Before time runs out, she must answer the ultimate question: what is the best way to live? So this is basically 2 reasons why I stopped reading this, but I do intend to finish it because everyone says it's really good, and that's what made me get it. And when I had heard good things about this, Taylor actually bought a copy for his mom, and she read it and said it was really good too. My only issue is when I was reading it, I just didn't like the mindset of the main character and like whose perspective it's told from. Like she just seemed just a little bit too negative for me, a little bit too poor me and kind of entitled and demanding, and that's actually an issue I had with Shopaholic as well. Like I got through it, but there were some parts where I just was so irritated with the main character and her thought process really annoyed me that I wanted to stop reading, but I made myself finish it. So that's why I took a break from this, because I was just like, I was just too annoyed with the character. But everyone says it's really good, so I think I am going to keep reading it, give it another shot. And that was also another time that I just jumped back to Harry Potter. I think I had read the Sorcerer's Stone. Why can I not say that? And then once I finished that, I started this, and then I was just like, let's just do Chamber of Secrets. And in October, I finally decided to join Book of the Month, which is like a monthly subscription, and they have like 5 books that you can pick from. They also have books that have been in pass boxes that you can buy for like $10, where they're usually like $15 to $20 if you were to buy them at like Amazon or something. I had it on my radar for like a year, and I finally decided to join in October because of this book. So it's the X Hex. And I was just so ready for Halloween and spooky season that when I saw this book, I was like, that's fun. I want to read just like a real cheesy, kind of kitschy Halloween book just to get in the spirit. And I'll read you the summary because you'll see what I mean. It's never mix vodka and witchcraft. 9 years ago, Vivian Jones nursed her broken heart like any young witch would. Vodka, weepy music, bubble baths, and a curse on the horrible boyfriend. Sure, Vivi knows she shouldn't use her magic this way, but with only an orchard hayride scented candle on hand, she isn't worried it will cause him anything more than a bad hair day or 2. That is until Reese Penhallow, descendant of the town's ancestor, breaker of hearts and annoyingly just as gorgeous as he always was, returns to Graves Glen, Georgia, what should be a quick trip to recharge the town's ley lines and make an appearance at the annual fall fair turns disastrously wrong, with one calamity after another striking Reese. Vivi realizes her silly little ex-hex may not have been so harmless after all. Suddenly, Graves Glen is under attack from murderous wind-up toys, a pissed-off ghost, and a talking cat with some interesting things to say. Vivi and Reese have to ignore their off-the-charts chemistry to work together to save the town and find a way to break the breakup curse before it's too late. This was a pretty good book. I mean, it does have like a little bit of the cheesiness of like a rom-com kind of thing, but I like that. That's my vibe. So I enjoyed this. I think it was a really good book. I fully intend to read it every October now just to kind of get in the spooky season vibe. So the next month, I thought I would go with a rom-com every month, but this one it was something about like Keanu Reeves, and the main character found out that Keanu Reeves was getting married, but she's determined that she needs to be the one to marry Keanu Reeves. So she like sets out on a road trip to go confess her love to him or something, and get him to stop the wedding and marry her, something like that. And I think that's just maybe a little bit older for me, because like I know Keanu Reeves was like a lot of people's, like, basically it's like everyone's mom, our moms, like Zac Efron, but I was just like, that's a little bit too much like fan fiction for me, especially for an actor I don't really watch or have a thing for. So instead I went with the thriller of the month. That is not like me at all to do thriller. I get scared very easily, but this was such a good book. Such a good book. It is called The Collective. No killer goes unpunished. And the summary is: just how far will a grief-stricken mother go to right a tragic wrong? Camille Gardner is a grieving and angry mother who, 5 years after her daughter's death, is still obsessed with the privileged young man she believes to be responsible. When her rash actions draw the attention of a secret group of women, the Collective, Camille is drawn into a dark web where these mothers share their wildly different stories of loss, as well as their desire for justice in a world where privilege denies accountability. Fueled by mutual rage, the Collective members devise and act out retribution fantasies via precise, anonymously, highly coordinated revenge killings. As Camille struggles to comprehend whether this is a role-playing exercise or terrifying reality, she must decide if these women are truly avenging angels or monsters. Becoming more deeply enmeshed in the group, Camille learns truths about the Collective and about herself that she may not survive. This is really good. I actually told Taylor he needs to read it, so he's finally on Christmas break, so I'm going to see if he'll start reading this book, because it is so good, and I like so many just twists and turns, and I wanted to tell him what they were, but like I also wanted him to experience it and not like just tell him, oh, and then I thought this was gonna happen, but this happened. So yeah, I think of any book I've read this year, I would say this is one of the best, and Midnight Sun, just because I love the whole Twilight franchise, and I just love Robert Pattinson. I don't think I've filmed a YouTube video yet in my Dallas apartment that didn't have people honking while I'm recording. And then the book I'm actually currently reading, which was December's book, is called The Holiday Swap. There actually were some other books that I was thinking about getting, but just like the X-Hex, I just wanted something that was kind of festive. So this is called The Holiday Swap. I am only 55 pages in. Also, most of these books are at least over 300 pages, maybe around like 350. And this is the summary. It's very Hallmark-esque. And Chef Charlie Goodwin gets hit on the head on the LA set of her reality baking show. She loses her critical ability to taste and smell. Meanwhile, Charlie's identical twin, Cass, is frantically trying to hold her own life together back in her quaint mountain hometown while running the family's bakery and dealing with the breakup that just won't end. With only days until Christmas, a desperate Charlie and Cass do something they haven't done since they were kids: switch places. But when a rugged firefighter Jake Greenman and gorgeous physician Miguel Rodriguez are thrown into the mix, will the twins' identity swap be a recipe for disaster or for getting their lives back on track? Like I said, a lot of these are really good books. My top recommendation from what I've read so far is, I think The Collective comes in at number 1 because it was just so good. It's also making me think maybe I should look into more thriller, but some of The Collective scared me when I was reading at night, so I actually started rereading Twilight. So I'm like halfway through like the first Twilight book right now because it was getting like too scary. I needed to like read something else before I went to bed. So the other part of this video is what I intend to read in 2022. So in 2021, I read almost 14 books. I actually am timing it to where I'm done with this on Christmas, just because I thought that'd be fun. So 14 books. I think 15 is what I'll set my goal at for next year. So with that being said, here are some of the books that I know for sure I'll be reading. The first I want to is because I've had this forever and I need to read it because so many people say it's so motivational, but it's You Are a Badass: How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living an Awesome Life. And I've just heard so many good things about this. It's not even that long of a book. It's 250 pages. And I've just heard so many people say this is a great motivator, so I kind of want to read it like at the beginning of the year to really just amp up and work on those New Year resolutions. And then the other things I want to read, of course, are continue reading Harry Potter. So here I have the 4th and fifth book, Goblet of Fire and Order of the Phoenix. Then another thing is because I grabbed this because it was on sale for $4 at Five Below, which is originally priced on the back for $17, but it's The Queen's Gambit. I actually haven't seen the Netflix series. Taylor has, and he says it's so good, and so I just saw this and I thought I'd either like it or he would, so I just grabbed it. But I think I want to read this. This actually doesn't look like too long of a read either. It's looking about 240 pages. I of course need to finish The Midnight Library. Oh, I think I counted The Midnight Library earlier. I didn't finish that, so I'm actually sitting at, I'll be at 14? No, I'll be at 13 when I finish this, because The Midnight Library probably won't get back to that till next year. And then this was a book I got as an extra from the book of the month. I just haven't read it yet, but this sounds so cool. The Lost Apothecary. And this says, hidden in the depths of 18th century London, a secret apothecary shop caters to an unusual kind of clientele. Women across the city whisper of a mysterious figure named Nella who sells well-disguised potions to use against the oppressive men in their lives. Nella's dark world is no place for her newest patron, 12-year-old girl named Eliza Fanning, but their unexpected bond sparks a string of consequences that echoes through the centuries. 200 years later, aspiring historian Caroline Parswell discovers an aged apothecary vial in the river. She is newly grappling with the searing betrayal of her husband's infidelity. A curious research project is exactly the distraction Caroline needs, but when she discovers a link between the vial and London's long unsolved apothecary murders, Caroline's unpending present soon collides with an explosive history, blinding her fate to Nella's and Eliza's in a stunning twist that transcends the barrier of time. That is the last thing that's on my list to read next year. Of course, I'll continue with Book of the Month, so hopefully be getting a new book each month. And yeah, I think that's it for this video, but I really enjoyed this and I'm curious what books you guys have read or are planning to read. I hope you guys enjoy. Also hope you like, comment, and subscribe down below, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.
And he was just like mad, and then she goes, we also got The Weeknd, and he just goes, he rolls his eyes, and then she goes, and ASAP Rocker.
Oh no.